before we start, I just
Sure,
want to
sure.
give you like a rundown, and I did it with everyone. So this will air Wednesday.
Okay, cool.
And I said it in the email as well.
Yep.
All your answers, all this will, the entire interview, we're also going to post it online
Okay,
as
cool.
well. So just for transparency, I just want to make sure everyone, we're all on the same page with that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. All right, so go ahead and say your first, last name, spell it, and then
Okay,
your
sure.
title.
So it's a, I don't know, and girlfriend, where do I look? You or there?
Oh,
I'm all.
sorry.
I'm all.
Yes,
Look at her.
I was like, yes.
Forget the cameras here.
I'm like, it's awkward. So it's Athenea Allen, and it's spelled Athenea. Allen is Allen, and my position title is a Program Security Rep 3/People's Manager.
Perfect. So I'm going to get started with your background just briefly.
Sure.
To my understanding, you began your career background as a investigator at New Mexico's National Laboratories. You now lead security operations at Kirtland Air Force Base. We know you are the wife of Bernalillo County Sheriff John Allen. What do you feel? Before I even get to that question,
Sure.
I want to go into this direction. Why are you running for District 5?
So, as you mentioned, my husband is the Bernalillo County Sheriff. So I don't just talk about crime, I have lived it. We have been married for 26 years. As a law enforcement wife, crime impacts you differently. It's an everyday thing. With my husband's career, there's lots of things that we've seen and gone through. Also, working national security. So I do national security and counterintelligence. I did federal investigations for 18 years for all government agencies, primarily supporting the national labs as well as the NSA and Kirtland. And I work in the International District all day because I work on Kirtland Air Force Base. And so I had an incident a while back where I got locked in a Starbucks due to some crime issues and whatnot. It's kind of a story. But also because of what my husband deals with, there's a lot of people who call me, to email me, and text me like, hey, can your husband help me? And at some point I was like, I can sit here and cry or complain about the things that I see and, you know, what my husband bears on his shoulders, or I can do something about it. And I've worked in national security. I've been a law enforcement officer's wife for 26 years. I felt like we deserve better and we deserve more. I think we need people before politics. I don't have any self-invested interest in office. I want to serve. I want to make things better. So I was like, my pastor always says, well, if you see a need, meet a need. And I was like, oh my gosh, I called John my babe. I'm like, babe needs help. The city needs help. So that was like a motivation for me. I wanted to not just sit and cry about the issues, but I wanted to make a difference and do something better for my community.
Thank you. And so as we know, District 5, the key issues, development and roads, right? How do you plan to tackle this issue?
So first of all, that issue's painful. I commute to Kirtland Air Force Base every single day. So I go through Paseo. One of the big issues there is funding, right? We see, and the infrastructure or the lack thereof. I feel like we need to be working with our state leaders because it's all about money at some point. Working with our state leaders and our county partners to invest in getting those roads done. My incumbent has had 16 years to do that. We are barely seeing phase 1 for the Paseo extension, and that's in big part due to funding. So as a councilwoman or council representative, your job is policy as well as budget. But people forget about the advocacy role. Having relationships with our state legislatures, putting politics aside to put people and their needs first, like getting funding for our roads and working with our developers to get that done is one of the ways we need to do that. And it shouldn't take us 16 to 12 years for phase 1. Am I going to have to wait another 12 years for phase 2? Living out on the west side for almost 22 years, where's that progress? Is that successful progress? I don't think so. So I believe having that advocacy, using our state partners to get funding to finish those roads is a big part of that. The incumbent is always saying, oh, I've invested in all these roads and I've allocated millions. And I'm like, great. I drive them every single day. Where's the proof in that? Where's the fruits of that labor? Because I haven't seen them yet.
And we have crime, public safety, and homelessness, top concerns.
Absolutely.
For New Mexicans. What's your take on it?
Well, like I said, it's personal to me. Being married to the sheriff, I see what crime has done. Also, I've learned what my husband is doing in the sheriff's office is what I would love to do to support our officers here. First of all, we always know that officers on the streets are going to be a #1 priority. But guess what? Being an officer is hard. Recruitment is hard. So I feel like we need to invest in budgets and whatnot to go out of state for recruitment, getting more officers on the streets. In the meantime, supplementing with tools, resources, and technology is what we're going to need to get while we're in that phase of trying to get manning and staffing up and supporting officers. The DOJ cost us a lot of officers because they felt they didn't have the ability to do their jobs daily. Now that's gone. Let's push money to recruitment. Let's supplement with tools, technology, and resources. I see what my husband's done with the sheriff's office. I learn. I want to bring that. That's how we're going to tackle crime here. Also, again, people forget about that advocacy role. You've seen a lot of what my husband and the DEA are doing. They're making loud noises to get legislation change, especially for criminals and repeat offenders with firearms and whatnot, pushing for legislation that are getting guns and gets in children's hands. The social apps that they have, I think it's... oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank on it, but a lot of that isn't regulated. So kids are getting these ghost guns. They are getting guns from other people on the streets and Telegram. Gosh, thank you. So I cannot express more that we need to be better on that. We don't have legislation to address those issues. I mean, we're in a world now, you know, I'm telling my age now, but back in the day, we didn't have this social media. We didn't have all these things or applications where you can go and buy drugs and, you know, go up to parties and break them up because you weren't even invited, but you just saw it in a media post. Like, we're not regulating these things. So I feel like advocacy for stronger legislation to address some of these issues, and you're not going to rush your way out of all these issues. These are root cause issues that are, you know, leading to crime. So we need like partnership of intervention, prevention, you know, it's counseling, it's compassion, it's all of those things combined. It's a multifaceted approach. And I feel like my husband has done that amazingly, and I'm learning every day. So my fun in Pillow Talk is crime. So I'm taking what he has done, and I want to advocate and do the same for the city of Albuquerque.
And as we know, 1.5 million is allocated in funding to each city councilor. So if you were to win, what do you plan to do with those funds to help your district?
Well, number one, I'm always going to invest in crime, you know, tackling crime and law enforcement, also development. I get kind of jealous that we always have to, again, to your point, the roads and infrastructure are really a pain. So we need more local services there. Why does the West Side not have, you know, nicer restaurants, like a Whole Foods, for example? Why are we not investing in that in the West Side? Why are we aren't bringing more jobs and development to the West Side? So investing in those public-private partnerships and growing the West Side and investing in infrastructure and always making sure we have safe communities is always going to be where my investment and priorities are. We live in a beautiful area. I've been there for 22 years, and I want more for that side of town. I feel like Cottonwood Mall is dying. Why aren't we getting more things? Like the West Side should have, we're expanding so much on residents and even a grocery store over there. So all of those things are things that we need to approach. Obviously, parks are important to families. So, I took my kid to the park. He's 23 now, but families want that. So also just listening to your constituents. What are their needs? What are their wants? You're elected by people. It's your job to hear people. So a lot of that will be as to what their concerns. A lot of them tell me crime, of course, but other resources, and again, the infrastructure is a big thing. So I'm a multitasker, and I go with multifaceted things because, we can't just focus on one area. We've got to learn how to approach all of these things for the betterment of people in our community.
Thank you. So what are your thoughts on the DOJ identifying Albuquerque as a sanctuary city? And for our viewers that are tuning in that may not know DOJ, Department of Justice, I do want to expand on the sanctuary city definition for our viewers that may not know what that is.
Right.
A city, county, or state that limits its cooperation with the federal government to enforce immigration laws, specifically regarding undocumented immigrants. And then just to expand on that question a bit more, just your take with the city's involvement with federal immigration and customs enforcement officials, ICE, basically. Just your take on that.
Absolutely. Well, I will always say, by definition, we're still an immigrant-friendly city, right? I know people want us to be classified under that sanctuary city role, but there are certain small definitives that separate us from that. But first of all, I'm a woman of color, so that matters to me. Second, I'm married to someone in law enforcement, and here's the thing: crime is crime. We should be tackling crime from every aspect, not profiling based on color, race, background, etc. Period. Also, APD has a lot of calls and pending service already. They're short-staffed. Why would I ask them to do ICE's job? Not going to happen. And here's the thing: being married to someone in law enforcement, you don't want our community to be fearful of reporting crime. That's counterproductive to what we do. There are women out there who are victims of domestic violence or sexual assault, and they're afraid to come to law enforcement because they're in this country undocumented. They're not criminals. So what are you doing? You are instilling fear in a community to want to come to law enforcement and report crime. That's not tackling crime. And so we should have I'm not for ripping families apart. Am I absolutely tough on crime? Yes, but we should be, crime is crime, and we should be tackling that no matter what that situation is. So yes, I know this is a very controversial issue for us as far as funding goes, but I don't believe in instilling fear in our community, and I'm hoping every day that we find ways to navigate that thoughtfully. I believe our state partners are looking what we can do to supplement if we should lose funding, but we've got to be, making sure our community feels safe to report crime, and not just saying, well, let's do this because it's a funding issue. There's people's fear, there's people's lives, and their contribution to our community that also matters. And again, I'm married to someone who gets stats regularly on what crime is actually occurring in our city. So all I can say is that every day we should be fighting for families, and that's our best approach. And we'll see what happens in the future. I believe our immigrant-friendly status should be viewed as that, and I should be doing their own job. So I have also heard, that I've heard my opponent say that Obama has said, hey, he said this whole thing of Obama asking for them to be into the transport center. So let's, I come from a national security background. What Obama did a while back was ask all the United States to share data on fingerprinting with ICE. And this was a lot right after 9/11. It was a national security effort. Never did Obama come in and say, hey, Albuquerque, let us into your transport center. That was a Richard Berry thing. And it actually landed up being so many issues, and you can actually go back and do the research on it. So it didn't really work well then. It landed up with litigation and whatnot. So the whole thing got, just got kiboshed. So why would we repeat the same mistakes?
And what do you feel you bring to the table that your opponent, Dan Lewis, cannot?
Well, how about a fresh face? Someone who's not compromised, someone who doesn't have self-serving interests. My opponent is a lobbyist who's been plagued with ethics complaints and violations, and I have none of those. I'm not a lobbyist. I work as a federal contractor. I'm here to serve people, not to have self-serving interests. Also, my opponent was elected to the seat over 16 years ago. He's had the time to make the changes and do all the things. Where's the fruits of that labor? So I bring an opportunity for change. I bring an opportunity for growth. I'm a national security background. I'm really personal on crime because it has impacted me personally. So I'm very thoughtful, and I'm a person to say that I don't know all the answers, but I'm willing to listen and learn to serve the betterment of my community. And I feel like my opponent is not very good about wanting to listen to people, and he showed that in some of the responses that he's done. And people forget that these positions are to serve them. So that's kind of what I believe I can bring to this change, and represent people in a non-self-serving way. And that's my hope.
Thank you. And if you lose, what's next for you?
Well, again, I'm married to the sheriff, so I still have a lot of community work that I would still be engaged in. I still have a wonderful career. That doesn't change anything. And eventually, I'll do whatever I can to help and support my community in any way that I can. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what's most important.
And any lasting remarks, anything that you feel we missed out on that you want to touch as we wrap up?
No, I mean, let me think.
To the constituents.
To the constituents. Well, let's see.
Anything you want to say.
Okay, well, again, my name's Athenea Allen, and I'm running for your next city councilor for District 5. I'm running to really make a difference and a change for our community. Your issues are my issues, and I really want to serve our community better on a grander scale, and I hope they give me an opportunity to do just that.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.